Hello, and welcome to another video lecture from MrWatkins.com. I'm Mr. Watkins. We're going to just go through the parts on sheep brain here. As far as their function of these different parts, that's something you're going to need to look up. But I wanted to go through, and at least for the lab and things, to be able to kind of point out the different pieces or different parts that you need to be aware of. So let's go ahead and get started here. The first thing you need to be aware of, or the first part, we're going to start over on this back end, this inferior side, or actually it's posterior, because remember, in a sheep, the brain, although it obviously in the head in the same place it is in a mammal, but the cerebrum here in the brain, and then you have your spinal cord and the brain stem. In humans, that's going to be more up and down. And so what's happened, because a sheep has got four legs, this whole thing has shifted in this direction. So the very back end here on this piece, this is the spinal cord. And so that's where we're going to basically start. So in a human, we'd be at the most inferior point here on the brain and working our way superior. The videos that we've seen and some of the things we talked about, I want you to remember that this lower portion of the brain stem is kind of like the basement if this whole thing was a house. And that as we move up into higher and higher centers, where then we actually end up getting individual rooms that are responsible for very specific things. And although this is just a lateral, and we're going to get to that in a different video. So right off the bat, then we have the spinal cord, and then the next piece that connects to that particular part is the medulla oblongata. And then as we continue to move up, we have the pons. Now this back here, this is going to be the cerebral pundicle, and it is all part of this lower brain center. I also want you to understand that this piece right here, and I'm not going to draw it in because it'll mess up our ability to see other structures, but basically right in here, that is going to be the cerebral aqueduct, and it basically pulls. We've got the lateral ventricle here, we have our third ventricle, and then that cerebral aqueduct takes us to the fourth ventricle that's there in the brain, those four ventricles of the brain. All right, as we continue to move up from the pons here, we've got some mammillary bodies that show up here. And then just in front of that, this piece right here, this is going to be the optic chiasma, the optic nerve that we have there. Now, right above here, right superior here, we have the thalamus. And although it can't probably be seen in this particular picture, but there usually is a little small spot in there that's called the intermediate mass of the thalamus. Intermediate mass of the thalamus. And you'll definitely want to look that particular piece up, as it is tested. Or there is some important pieces that you need to know there. Now, let's go ahead and move to the superior side here. And we've talked about this in class a little bit, but we need to talk about the quadrigema corpa, which is a set of four. That's what the quad means. And you have these four bodies. They're called colliculi, and there are four of them. We're only going to be able to see at least a side view of two here. And so this one right up here on the top is the superior colliculi. Let me look here so I can spell it correctly. Or colliculus. And then the one underneath here is the inferior one. Okay. And then right in front of that, you have the pineal gland, and that's this right here. That's that piece right there. Now, again, remember we got a cerebral aqueduct running right underneath here, that goes into our third ventricle, or connects that third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. Let's move on up. I'll move a little forward. I'm going to change colors here just to make things a little easier. We've got our fourth ventricle here, and then we have this piece kind of here. And when you see the actual sheep brain in class as opposed to watching it here on the video. I mean, it's a definite different color. This is where the fiber tracks run across, excuse me, and this piece is called the corpus callosum. Then down here at the bottom is the fornix, and all of this area here is the cerebrum. Now there's more than just these little bitty structures. I mean, the cerebrum has different spots on it, and we're going to hit that with a different video. Let's move back to the back side here, this inferior side. This whole piece that's right here, that's the cerebellum. And then within that piece, and I'm going to grab a pencil here so we can kind of draw into it. Within that piece, and you should be able to see it a little bit on the video. Definitely you can see it on the actual brain in class. But it almost looks like there's these branching tree pieces that come off right here. This almost looks like it's a tree right here, and I've kind of tried to color it in a little bit. It's just not showing up well on the video, but this is the arbor vitae. Okay, that's basically it. I mean, there's other structures here that you can look at and go for. We've got the mammary bodies there. We've got a few other little pieces here and there, but this is the basic structure that you need to be aware of. There is going to be, or should be, another video that you can look at that's going to look at the outside, and we'll be doing that one specifically on the brain to look at all those different pieces of the brain. Thank you.